we're going to start working. Okay, we're going to start working. Until now, we create a little bit of context, and but now we're going to work into those 6 minds. So a little bit about the 6 minds. In order to get to, and I'm talking right now about the enlightenment in the more Eastern tradition. Okay, so if we had a little chat before about the Western tradition and the Eastern tradition, the Western is about fulfilling your potential. You understand the principles of that. But what maybe some of you are not really aware is about the process which is happening when we're talking about the Eastern context of enlightenment. And one way to look at it is through getting your mind to evolve from where it is now and going through stations until it becomes what they call sometimes the enlightened mind. I don't call it the enlightened mind. I have another name for it. But usually in literature, you find it as the enlightened mind. And usually there's 6 main stations or 6 main... your mind is functioning totally different in 6 different parts or 6 different ways. And what we're going to do is I'm going to describe each one of them quite in detail in each one of the coming 6 sessions, and then I'll share with you a little bit about how you can develop that mind. The challenge that I'm facing, and I'm trying to still figure out how to do that, is that this is a process that usually people will go through it through many years. If you will accept the tradition, the Eastern tradition, you go through it through many lifetimes. So we don't have lifetimes, and we don't have a life even right now. So we have about 2 days, and in a way I'm going to try and get you, we're not going to get there, but I'm please try to describe you those 6 stations, which you might be now in station number 1, maybe in station number 2, but to get to the others, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, but doing it now, before you're doing the others, is kind of probably not going to work. So it's a little bit of a challenge. I wish I had a few years with you, and then we could let you just work with your monkey mind for a year, that's what we're going to do now, get it settled, and then only move to the next mind. But we don't have, so I'm going to give you stuff that there's no point for you to do the 6 minds, everything right now, before doing the rest. So you just need to see where you are and start evolving with that, but you'll have the whole path for you. I know that's a little bit much, but as soon as I get into practical, it will be pretty simple. It's not that it's very hard, but it needs some kind of a dedication and commitment to do that. And that's for many years, people, when they wanted to get enlightened, it doesn't matter if it's in the Eastern tradition or Western tradition, they would go and become what? Monks, right? They would become monks and nuns, which means basically what they say, what you're doing as a monk or a nun, you renounce the world, right? You let go of the world, everything that is around the world. You let go of your possessions, you let go of anything that belongs to your ego, or that your ego is saying it's mine, and you go and sit somewhere in a monastery or in a community or in a cave in the Himalaya, and you're basically spending 24/7 on going there. Which I'm pretty sure that none of you is right now prepared to do that, because otherwise you wouldn't be here, you would be in your cave in the Himalaya, right? So right now we're trying to make it a little bit more practical. So everything that I will share with you is practical stuff, and it still works. It just means that you have less attention, less time, and less effort, or less focus, as a monk or a nun will do. But any step that you're taking, any time that you train your mind to be more focused, to be more your servant instead of your master, like most of us have, then we gain the benefits. And if you will want a real path for life, I will share it with you in the last session tomorrow, what we are using. Okay, but right now I'm going to give you the very practical, and you will choose from that. Anything that you do from that, if you do it diligently, if you really go for it, you will see results. And you will get yourself on a higher and higher level with time. It just means that you need to do. And I was looking for years, and I'm still looking for the shortcut, by the way. Okay, I'm still looking for the shortcut, because I don't believe that we really need to do lifetimes and lifetimes today with the technology that we have, with chemicals that we have, and with all kinds of stuff that there is. I'm sure there are shortcuts, and there's a lot of people that are researching it for many years, some of them more successfully than others. So when I find out the shortcut, I'll let you know. But right now I'm going to share with you stuff that will take time, and will take effort, and will take energy, unless you want to go and teach a plant or LSD or stuff like that. But that's not what I'm teaching. Is that okay? So that's the real work. Okay, so 6 minds. It's the way I see that, and I don't know if you'll find it somewhere else, but the way that from my experience, see that, it's a kind of a line that you start at the beginning, and all of us start at the beginning, all of us start exactly in the same place, and we go through those stations. And I didn't go through all the 6 stations. I went through some of them, not through all of them, and some of them I have glimpses. But I have enough information from those people that did there to share that with you. So the one that we're going to start working right now, I don't think that I have place here, so you just write down for yourself so you have a line. The first one, the lowest, if you want, it's called the monkey mind. And you'll find it a lot in the Eastern tradition that they talk about that your mind is like a monkey, or they call it a monkey mind. Why is it like a monkey? It's what? It's playful, maybe. It's not. That's not the reason why it's like a monkey. Yeah, it's hopping around. It's never focused. He likes that, and then he likes something else, so it moves from one branch to another. So just try to see this image in your mind, because that will help. It's the mind that, your thoughts are, pretty much all of us are mad, right? Yeah. All of us are mad. I mean, what's the definition of a mad person, of somebody who is crazy, is that he doesn't have a line of thought, right? So they have one thought, and then they have totally different thought, and they have totally different thought. With the crazy people, that's how it looks, right? Because they will do something and then will jump into something totally different, and then they will do something totally different, and it looks like this. But most of us, if not all of us, most of the time, if not all of the time, we're exactly like that. We just don't express it usually. But the thought, how many times it happens to you that you're thinking about something and suddenly it goes to something totally different, another place, another time, and then it goes to something else, and then to something else, and it all happens in seconds or in minutes, that your mind was in 40 different places. Anybody had experienced that? You all have the experience that. We all have the experience that. That's the monkey mind. Just that you understand. Now, the monkey mind has more than that, and I will go because this is a whole session about the monkey mind. But now that we have a picture of that, we know what it is, right? We all have that. We all started this way. What we want with this specific mind, we want to transcend it. We want to move to the next mind, which calls the beginner mind. And it's called the beginner mind because, and not everybody gets there. Most people actually never get there, because most people never put themselves on this path of growth, of wisdom, of enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. They never thought about it. They never thought that it's important. They just keep on going like that. Most people will die with the monkey mind. Okay? I think that here there's quite a few people that started already with beginner mind because, you already started exploring yourself, growth, spirituality, wisdom, etc. Okay? I will explain more about the beginner mind. That will be in the next session. And I suggest want to go there. So there's nothing to do with we need first to train the monkey mind and then move to the next step, which is the beginner mind. When you manage to work through through this quest, if you want, of the beginner's mind, we move to what is called the quiet mind. And many of you, I think, had glimpses for that or more if you're meditating for a while. Okay? So you know that you can get to a space where your mind is just quiet. It's not that there is no thoughts necessarily, but you're not attached to the thoughts. So the thoughts are coming and going. They describe it usually as clouds in the sky. So the clouds are coming, the clouds are going, but you're not attached to them. That's what it means, the quiet mind. It doesn't mean that you have no thoughts necessarily. Okay, so how many of you are meditating for a while and had experiences of that? Okay, that's great. That's quite a lot. So you know what it means, but when we're talking about the quiet mind, it's not that we have an experience, but it's actually that we can stay there. It's not that we need to actually sit for meditation and then after 40 minutes, I have a minute of a quiet, but it's more that you can actually operate from there. That's where we want to go, right? That's, again, the difference between a practice of meditation and the state of meditation. Okay, the practice of quietening the mind, it's not the same as the mind is quiet. Are we clear? We'll talk about it. There's a session about that. And every time I'll try to give you some tools how to get there and an experience as much as we can. Okay, so that's a quiet mind. The next mind, the term that we're using usually for that is called the awakened mind. The awakened. Because in all the 3 stages before that, our mind is asleep. We are asleep. We are in a dream. That's when we're thinking that we have free will, for example. That's a dream. It's a story that we tell ourselves. The fact that we're separating from each other, that's a dream. That's a story that we tell ourselves. When you get into the awakened mind, you see the truth, or at least you have glimpses of the truth, and you see that a lot of what is real in its reality, it's real on a physical level, but there is a lot more than that. It's not that it's not real. It's not that right now, if I give you a fist, it's not that this is a person and this is a person, and we're not becoming one because of that. But on this reality, it's true. But there's also higher reality when the separation doesn't exist. And with the awakened mind, you can experience that. Is that okay? So you don't, maybe some of you had some experiences for that. I guess that none of us, including me, is living in that all 24/7, but it's a nice place to be, even if it's for a few minutes. Okay, so that's the place of the awakened mind, when you're actually seeing what truth is. And then things started to change very, very fast, because when you for me at least, that's when things started to change, is when I started to see things that are I didn't believe that exist because it was not there before, and suddenly they are there and they are very, very real, then I needed to start questioning my assumptions about life. And then actually what happens was a process of unlearning or unconditioning. Just a lot of the stuff that I believed. I even shared that, I think, with you in the Health Weekend, that for me, one of the first experiences for that was about energy. Because I grew up in a place where, what you see is what there is. I grew up very scientifically, very, very mind culture. And suddenly the first time that I felt that there's something, but I cannot see it, but it's very, very clear there, I had to, it's not just that I had to rethink my thought about energy, because before that I just thought it's very, very people are talking about that. But not just that I had to reconsider my thought about that, I need to reconsider my thoughts about everything. Because if I believe that it's not existing, but it's very, very real, I don't need to do this right now in order to feel that. It's very, very real, and I can actually use that. Then what other of my beliefs or my truth is actually a truth or just an assumption? So when you get glimpses of, when you are in the awakened mind and you get glimpses of things, then you start challenging everything, and that's quite tough. I had it in the summer that when I went through quite a deep process of that, so I stayed there for a few weeks in that state. One of the processes you need to do after that is to start checking, if you want to see if this really works for you, you need to start checking all your beliefs. And I started to questioning, I'm going to share, if you're willing, I'm going to share with you one example of how it worked, but in one condition, that you're not going to hold me for that, because I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to disappoint you. Okay? I'm gonna share something, but you're not gonna. No one is going to come to me later or now and tell me prove it. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay? Just because I don't want to do that right now. I was going through the process, and there was no I. And I checked and I looked and I searched everywhere and I couldn't find the I. I just couldn't find the I. And usually when you get to that process, then a lot of other things are disappearing, because the I is attached to all the beliefs. It's I am a vegetarian, I am a father, I am a partner, I am whatever. There's a lot of I. It's connected to the I. Without the I, it's kind of like, where is it anymore? So you need to start checking. So I tried to look at my beliefs, but I was in the middle of I think I shared with you, I was in the middle of a cave in Scotland, in the middle of nowhere. There was no people to talk to. I was totally in isolation. I couldn't find places where I can confront that. And suddenly, middle of the night, 12 o'clock, one of the nights, I'm coming and says, hey, one of your beliefs is that you're not good in languages. And you're struggling right now with the Spanish and everything, and you started for years with the Dutch and everything. How about you check that? And something switched. And I started to think in Dutch. And I didn't stop for 3 days. I actually, after 3 days, I got panicked, because I thought that I cannot, because I didn't have to talk to anybody, so it was only in my head. But I never thought in Dutch, ever. It was always translation. So if I needed to speak to somebody in Dutch, I need to translate it, and it takes time, and it's cumbersome and everything. And after 3 days, I suddenly realized, and for 3 days, I'm talking to myself all the time in Dutch, and I got panicked, because maybe I can't speak English anymore. So seriously, so I needed to change that. But what I discovered is that actually I can think and speak Dutch very, very fluently, and I'm kind of hear my mistakes, and that's okay. But like a normal person, it wasn't anymore this part of translation and everything, which never happened before. So that was interesting, and that made me so much realizing how much this belief that I'm not good in languages or that I cannot speak Dutch is connected to an I that doesn't exist anymore. You understand? So that was quite life-changing. I tried that with the Spanish, by the way. It didn't work. Because I don't have the Spanish. I just don't have enough Spanish, but I do have enough Dutch, and I always had it as a passive language, but I could never make it into active. And now, because the belief disappeared, because the I disappeared, and that's what I'm trying to say, that when you're getting into this awakened mind, then a lot of things are going to change because of that. Because you're going to start seeing reality as it is, and not as you believe it to be. Does that make sense? A little bit, just as an example from mine. Okay, so that's the awakened mind. Now, after that, that's the stage number 5, is what many times it will be called no mind. No mind. And that's a place where your attachment from the I disappears. You're not, there is no I then anymore. The mind is belonging to the I. That's why I think when I said life is, and then you say I am what I am who I am, that doesn't exist anymore in that space. There is no I, there is no I am, there is no I have, there is no I own, there is no I think. thinking is happening all the time. I mean, it's so hard for us to understand. But if I will ask you, just a second, Alan. If I will ask you, you're going for lunch, and you just say, well, I eat lunch. And I says, really? What do you do? Do you eat? Do you digest it? Do you? I mean, it's digestion happens, right? It's not I breathe, breathing happened. That's easy to understand, right? You don't really breathe. I mean, breathing happens. It happens if you're awake or asleep, if you're conscious or unconscious, right? Breathing happens. So it's not I breathe, breathing happens. Everybody understands that. You move it to driving, or to talking, or to teaching, or whatever it is, and that doesn't make any more sense to people. It's I. That's suddenly this I is owning that. I teach right now, or I speak, or I drive. But when you start looking for this I, and this is a very interesting process. I think I'll start it, if I can, with the group with Roy that we're going to do next week, just to try to show people this. Find me the I. Just look for it and find it. And I'm very attached to my I. Very, very attached. It's an important I. It's the most important I. Isn't it? For almost 50 years was the most important I. I mean, the world is turned around this specific I, right? I'm pretty sure that you have some eyes that are feeling pretty much the same. But I couldn't find where it is and what it is. And I just found out that things are happening. Thoughts are happening and breathing is happening. And yes, the body is reacting to thoughts, but I couldn't find one thought that I created, and which is pretty scary at the beginning for me. Because, I think... how is it called? I think, which means I exist, or yeah, you know what I mean, right? And which we all grew up on that, and it's interesting when it's not there anymore. And when you don't have this attachment, then you get into a point where there is no mind, because mind is a part that is attached. It's we're attached to that. It's my mind. It's my thoughts. Let me put it this way, from experience of the glimpses that I had there, this is a very interesting and can be very scary place at the beginning, just the beginning. At one point it becomes a lot of fun, but a lot of people, when they get there, they get into what is called the cosmic joke. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. If you've been into studying this kind of stuff, they say that people that get enlightened many times just don't stop laughing for a few days. It's called the cosmic laugh, the cosmic joke. The cosmic joke is that you're, working so hard to grow and to become something. I will become enlightened, and at one point there is no I. So what was the whole journey? And actually, that goes towards the end. A search, for those of you that are spiritual seekers, you're searching for something because you have questions and you want to find it. And what they pretty much say is that, and I experienced that once, and that was pretty amazing, is that people think that at one point they will have all the answers. That's what enlightenment means, yet you have all the answers. Actually, enlightenment means that there's no more questions. And this is very different, and I know that we talked about it the night just before lunch, and I know that for some of you that goes way over your head, and I'm, in a normal situation, I would say that's not okay for me. It's my ethics as a trainer, as a teacher, is to only give you information you can actually chew on. And I'm aware that right now I'm giving for some of you information that goes way above your head, and that's okay. I heard that for many, many, many years. I never believe something that I hear. I just never believe, but it stays somewhere. And when I experienced that, I was just laughing and saying, I heard that for 20 years. I just never understood it. So part of the cosmic joke is that you actually realize that this whole I get enlightened or whatever it is when there is no I, there is no enlightenment. So I guess, I didn't laugh, when I got to the small points of it, the normal, I didn't laugh, but I was finding it pretty amusing. So, yeah, for those of you that had those experiences, you know what I mean, and for those of you not, we're going to get you one experience of that. If you will allow yourself, we'll get you tomorrow to know mind. Okay? And I think that you will have to work really hard not to get there. But so I hope that you will have, usually when people go through this process, a lot of them get a smile. It's not a laugh, but they get a real smile. So we'll see if we can get you there. It will be interesting. And the last stage is, usually you'll find it if you look in the literature and stuff, they will call it the enlightened mind. I don't know. I call it beyond mind. So my term for that will be used beyond mind. I'm trying to avoid the word enlightenment in this as much as I can. So it's going beyond mind to something further. Those are the 6 minds that I would like to share a little bit, and it's an experiment. For me, it's an experiment. For you, we'll see how that will work. in all of those minds, I will give you something practical you can do, okay, to move you further. And the more you do, the faster probably you'll get there. All right, in order to make it very, very practical, guys, we'll need to distribute the quadrants. Usually I'm giving you the quadrants, you know, what to do new, what to do more, what to do less, and what to do stop doing. I'm giving it at the end. Now I'm giving it on purpose now, so whenever you hear something, or you think something, or you experience something, you say, hey, I want to do that, then you put it either in the new or the more. If you hear something and say, maybe I should stop that, then you write it while you're going. So you have the commitment on the spot. From now on, I'm not going to remind you because I will forget probably. But every time that you hear something that you think, oh, I should do that, I never did that, I should try it, I should do that, then put it here on the new. If you have something that you say, yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it enough, I should do more, put it in the more. If you realize that you need to do something less or even stop something doing because it will postpone or it will, you know, slow you down, then put it in the right category. It's your commitment for yourself. So try to have this page in the beginning of the notebook or wherever it is that you can always refer to that. I'm going to explain a little bit about what I see, what I recognize, and maybe you will recognize, hopefully you'll recognize also about the monkey mind. And then I'm going to give you a couple of things you can do in order to train that monkey mind. And that's how we're going to do all the next 6 sessions. I will give you a little bit of explanation, and then I'll give you a few ways how you can advance. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you the title, and then you're going to figure it out for yourself. Then you're going to do some brainstorming to see if people can come up with or bring you ideas that will enrich your own decisions or your own knowledge. And then you'll have to commit to something. And I will always ask you to commit for one thing. I know that some of you are overachievers, which is totally fine, but I will ask you to always commit to one, because when we commit to too many things to do, we usually don't do any. I prefer that you will do one, do it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 100 days if you want to do it in Roy's way, but you do that until you feel that it's in you, and then you can move to something else. There will be enough for you to work, because for each one of the 6 minds, we have at least 3 different things that I'll ask you to. So there's enough. You don't have to focus on, just when we're talking about the first thing, oh, I'm going to do 5 things because it seems easy. It will pile up. Okay, it will pile up. I don't know if you know, but my new book is almost ready, actually. It's going to be, we're getting it printed on the 9th of January. It will arrive here. And it's all about this kind of work. It's all about based on this. It's to give you those challenges that you can do whenever you want, but you commit to them, and you can do them for a week, you can do them for 30 days, or you can do them for 100 days. We have a structure for that. And the idea is that you will take one after another, and you can use the book forever or for a long time until you're advanced on the path. Okay, so that's, I really believe in that system. Okay, I really believe that if we're putting ourselves into a situation as this, we can become bigger and we can become wiser, but we need to force ourselves to do things that we don't usually do. So if you find yourself committing to something that you anyway do, you're not going to make a big difference. The idea is to try something different, always. Is that okay?